so there's two sides of the curve, right? There is the sell side of the curve and there's the buy side of the curve. So you always want to remember, right? A market maker model is basically two sides of distribution, right? So the first side of distribution is going to be the sell side of the curve, which we can illustrate with this. Just 1 second. You can use this. So this will be the sell side of the curve. And what is the sell side of the curve? So every market maker model starts off with one thing. The market maker model starts off with an original consolidation. Now, what is an original consolidation and how do we actually use it? So we can go back to this example. So you can see we have the original consolidation and the sell side of the curve, right? So, oh, you can hear me, right? Okay. So the original consolidation basically is a higher time frame ERL, right? So so this is what it looks like on the chart. I think it'll be easiest to show on the chart. Is if we have an original consolidation, right? So let's see, we have this accumulation here. Okay, this is actually perfect. So you can see, like, what does this look like? This looks like a market maker model, right? This is the sell side of the curve. This is the buy side of the curve. So what would this be up here? This is the original accumulation consolidation. So in order for our market maker model to be complete, we need to take this out, right? And what is this going to be? This is going to be your ERL. So your original consolidation is always going to be your ERL that you're going to target for the buy side of the curve. So when we accumulate here, what are we doing? We're engineering liquidity, right? All these accumulations are just engineered liquidity. And what is engineered liquidity? They're just swing highs and swing lows to be ran through later on, right? And so you can clearly see, right? This is engineered liquidity. This is a consolidation at the highs. What are these swing highs? These are just engineered liquidity for us to come later and take them out and have a reaction to it, right? So we swept this, we dump. And that's pretty much what the original consolidation is. All it is engineered liquidity at the top of a market maker model. So we can go back here. And this illustrates the same thing. So original consolidation, we have that. Now what happens after an original consolidation on the sell side of the curve? You get an expansion phase. And how does the original consolidation and expansion phases mix up with the phases of market delivery, right? How does it work? So as you know, in the phases of market delivery lesson, price cannot reverse until it meets its higher time frame drawn liquidity, right? So let's say this is our accumulation phase, right? Then we have an expansion, but our drawn liquidity is, let's say this, right? This daily previous day high, right? Let's say this is our daily ERL. I'll mark this out. Daily ERL. And after this, expansion phase, have we met the daily ERL? No, we have not. So what are we going to do? We're still going to accumulate and we're going to retrace into a, lower time frame internal range of liquidity, right? We have a mini power of 3 accumulation, manipulation into a higher time frame or lower time frame, higher time frame for value gap, and then a change in the state of delivery and then distribution, right? This is a more complex, but what is this? This is the original consolidation, the accumulation, and then this is the expansion phase, right? And what happened, and like we learned last time, the phase of market delivery. Actually, wait, just quick question. Did you watch the video on phase of market delivery or no? Did you get a chance to watch that? Hello? Yeah, I can hear you now. You didn't get it? Okay. So after this, watch that video, right? But pretty much accumulation. So this is our original consolidation. Then we have our first expansion leg, right? And what do? If we don't meet the daily external range of liquidity, right, we cannot reverse. So until the higher time frame point of interest is met, we cannot reverse, right? And this ties back into what? The reversal conditions. As we know, in order to reverse, right, to actually have a reversal, we need to meet what three things? Do you remember from last time? So what are the three things? I just want to keep it interactive a little bit. No problem, bro. Yeah, no problem, bro. So I just wanted to quiz you a little bit. What are the three reversal conditions that we spoke of last time? Do you remember? Yeah. Okay. No problem. So the three reversal conditions that we talked about last time were: first, you have to have a higher time frame PD array, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So this ties into it perfectly, right? So unless we have a higher time frame PD array, right, which can be a higher time frame ERL or an internal range of liquidity, we cannot reverse. So let's say we have this leg right here. We have this accumulation, then we have this expansion. Have we met this daily external range of liquidity? No. So can we reverse? No, we can't, right? Because we need a higher time frame PD rate in order to reverse. So what do we do until then? So after this, we might meet some sort of not rejection block, but what is the name? I think a lot of people have different names for it, but it would be I'm trying to recall the name. It's not really okay. It's not really that important, but basically, let's say we have so we're looking to the left, and let's say we have a lower time frame ERL or an internal liquidity that gets swept. So we sweep that, right? Internal liquidity, not the higher liquidity. Let's just do internal lick, right? Internal liquidity that gets swept, and then we see a small little accumulation, right? So after this accumulation, what would you expect? You're not going to expect a reversal because the higher time frame point of interest has not been engaged in, right? And after this, the accumulation ties back into what? A lower time frame power of 3. And how does it time? How does it tie into that? It's because of so if we look at this expansion phase, right, we're going to leave an internal range of liquidity. So this all connects perfectly with three concepts: ERL to IRL. So we swept out this lower time frame ERL. Let's say this is a 15-minute swing high that we swept out. So we swept out that 15-minute ERL. After that, we start accumulating, right? Because we swept it out. Now, how do we continue higher? We continue higher with a lower time frame PO3. And how does that work? Is we go from ERL to IRL, right? And this is going to be the manipulation of this little leg, and we're going to tap into the 15-minute fair value gap that has been left by this expansion phase. So we go from ERL to IRL. We have a mini power of 3 accumulation, manipulation, right? We have a lower time frame SMT, changing the state delivery, and then we continue higher. Now, what do? We continue higher until we meet this daily external range of liquidity, and that's when we have a possible chance of a reversal. So do you understand how it connects? So pretty much that's what a market maker model is, right? It's all these things connecting, right? But all these things connecting, but in a labeled manner. So what would this be? Let me label it for you now. This would be the, let me change the color. So this would be the original consolidation, right? Then what would happen after the original consolidation? Then we get a first stage of expansion. So I will write this out. Yeah. And why do we trade the second accumulation? Because it's a power of 3. Now, do you see how that makes sense? How it's a power of 3? Because the power of 3 is what? So we left this internal. So this is the first stage of expansion, right? What does an expansion leave? It leaves. What does it leave? Like after it expands, what's gonna be? Yeah, IRL, which is a fair value gap. So every time an expansion happens, it's always gonna leave an internal range of liquidity, right? And that's gonna be below these swing lows on the lower time frame. So let me explain it like this. So anytime that we have a consolidation above or below, so let's say we have a consolidation on a, on the buy side of the curve. What is the buy side of the curve again? It's just going to be longs. So on a market maker model, if you're trading longs, you're going to be trading the buy side of the curve. You get that? And if you're trading shorts, you're going to be trading the sell side of the curve, right? So under a buy side of the curve, you're always going to have an internal range of liquidity. So there's going to be an internal range of liquidity here. There's going to be an internal range of liquidity here. And there's going to be an internal range of liquidity here, right? And how's it going to look like on the sell side of the curve? Every time there's an expansion, there's going to be a internal range of liquidity. So internal range of liquidity there, internal range of liquidity there. And that's how it's going to be, right? So write this or not write this down, but keep this in mind. So whenever we have a stage of distribution, an internal range of liquidity is going to be left behind, right? So every time we expand off an accumulation, there's going to be an internal range of liquidity that we're going to use, right, in order for the second stage of accumulation to finish. So let me know if I'm going a little too fast or I'm confusing you. All right. So after the first stage of expansion, we're going to be leaving a fair value gap, internal range of liquidity, right? So what do we want to do as traders here? We want to be trading the second stage of distribution. And this second stage of distribution is just going to be the second accumulation. All right, let me mark this out and write it down. So second stage of accumulation. All right, this is where we want to enter. And why do we want to enter here? Because this is going to be a mini power of 3, right? So this is going to be a mini power of 3. And how is this going to be a mini power of 3? So we take out an internal range of liquidity, right? So let's say our 10 a.m. So because our 10 a.m. candle closes after the 6 a.m. candle, which is also a part of the New York AM session, the candle is mostly going to be a second stage delivery candle. And this ties in with CRT, which I'm going to teach you candle range theory, right? Where candles in themselves are going to be manipulation and distributions. So I'm going to teach you that next class because it's a very important lesson. But so pretty much, let's say the 4-hour candle, the 6 a.m. 4-hour candle is this right here, right? So the 6 a.m. 4-hour candle accumulates, then distributes. The 10 a.m. candle has to do what? You tell me here. What does the 10 a.m. candle have to do? Yeah, so the buy side of the curve, right? So that's exactly how we trade. So whenever we trade the 10 EM power 3, we're trading the second stage of accumulation on a higher time frame market maker model, right? The power of 3 is just a stage of distribution or a framework to engage the second stage of accumulation, right? So how do we trade it? Accumulation, manipulation into this 15-minute fair value gap, and then we find our lower time frame change in the state delivery, and then we continue higher, right? And until the daily external range of liquidity. Now, on the lower time frame, the daily external range of liquidity, what is it, right? It's going to be something like this, right? Where we have this swing high that we took out, or let's say this, we took out this, and then, let me go back to here. We have this expansion right on the sell side, and then all this stuff, and then this, and then we have an accumulation that we target, which is going to be this right here. So I want you to know that there are, so if you just go keep accumulating, right? So the market maker doesn't finish until you actually meet the higher time frame drawn liquidity, right? So let's say you have an accumulation, right? But it doesn't meet it yet. So after the second stage of accumulation, it doesn't meet it yet. So what's price going to do after sweeping out another internal range of liquidity? It can possibly just accumulate again and do the same thing, right? So just because there's two stages of accumulation doesn't mean the third stage of accumulation cannot happen, right? I want you to know that price cannot reverse, or the market maker model cannot be complete until and unless the higher time frame drawn liquidity / the original consolidation has been met, right? And how do we know what the higher time frame drawn liquidity or the original consolidation is? We're going to know that by, finding the point of interest. So 4 hour swing highs, 1 hour swing highs if you're trading a 5-minute market maker model. So it's just going to be aligned. So if you're trading a 15 minute market maker model, right? You're going to be looking for a 4-hour structure. So a 4-hour swing high to target, right? And so this is how it works, right? And now let me show you the reversal aspect of, market maker models. So you can clearly see we meet our daily external range of liquidity. Now we met the sell side of the curve, right? Now, how are we going to reverse? How we reverse? Yeah, you can go on. Yeah. So that's how we reverse, right? So, with those three conditions being met, right? If we meet those three conditions, at this hard time frame or this original consolidation, then we have a chance of, reversing from that original consolidation, right? So let's say we have an SMT, right? And the reversal conditions, you cannot reverse without this happening. So the funny thing is, right? You've been trading the reversal conditions, on your own without even realizing, right? Just because how good this model is. A lot of people trade this model, right? Without even knowing, right? The reversal condition model, right? The SMT change in the state delivery and, the higher time frame for rally gap or the higher time frame point of interest, right? So in order for a market maker model to reverse, you need an SMT, right? And then you need that higher time frame point of interest engaged, which you can clearly see the daily external range of liquidity, right? Yeah, you just keep looking for buys. Exactly. Well said. Yeah, literally, you just keep looking for buys until that happens, right? Because this doesn't give you the confirmation. Yeah, like you've seen on days, right? Like, even today, I can show you an example, right? We tap into all of this liquidity, right? We have a 4-hour for value gap, right? That we tap into, right? But we don't show any signs of reversion. Like we tap into the 4-hour for value gap, we tap into the 4-hour change in the state delivery, but without that 15-minute change in the state delivery with SMT, Are we actually going to reverse? No, right? We met the higher time frame drawn liquidity here, but do we show any signs of reversion? No, so it just keeps shorting. You get it, right? Like, what do you mean? Like, in order for a continue, keep looking for sells. So yeah. So so honestly, I'd say because it's intraday, look for the 15-minute for value gap, right? Because then you can take the 1 minute market maker model, right? Because like if you think about it, if we're trading intraday, a 4 hour retrace into a 4 hour for value gap is going to be a little hard because the 4 hour candle might not even close, right? So like, so let's say we're trading 10 a.m. right here, right? This candle is not closed yet, so we can't even like trade the 4 hour, right? But look at today, right? There's so many opportunities for re-entries, right? So what is this? This is actually a perfect example. Original consolidation, right? Then we have this first stage distribution, right? And what do we tap into? We tap into this 15-minute for value gap. So we have a short-term retracement, right? Which is another accumulation, right? Now we had SMT. Let me show you. We had SMT inside of this gap. So we had SMT inside of. Let me just remove all the drawings. So you can see this gap. We had SMT, right? So with this SMT, this change in this, and then how do we take that trade? So this would actually be our trade. And this is what, you know, the people in premium tech, unfortunately, I missed out on this one, but we tap into the 15-minute for value gap. The second stage of distribution is here, right? Because this is the original consolidation. This is the, you know, first stage of expansion. And then we have this retracement into this 15-minute for value gap with SMT. All we would do is wait for the change in the steady delivery, which would be right here, keep our stop at that high, and then target the ERL, which would be right here, right, on a lower time frame. And what would this be? This would be a 1 minute market maker model, right? A lower time frame market maker model. And how is this a lower time frame market maker model? Is because here you can see we tap in this 15-minute for value gap, right? The swing low right here, like I mentioned, and we get a short-term retracement, right? So what could you do here? You could honestly, you know, take a trade. Somebody might have taken a trade like this, you know, 1 minute change in the state delivery with SMT, target the 15-minute or 1 minute ERL for a nice 2R. Now, all this liquidity, all this retracement is just engineered liquidity, right? As we know, because there's going to be a retracement on the higher time frame, right? Because have we met our higher time frame drawn liquidity on, you know, the bigger scheme of things? Like let's say the 1 hour chart. Have we met our higher time frame drawn liquidity? No, right? This is our higher time frame drawn liquidity, right? Let's say previous day low is our higher time frame drawn liquidity. We haven't met it, so we're just gonna take whatever this move is, right, as just a retracement. Because as you know, price cannot reverse until you get a change in the steady delivery, an SMT, and a higher time frame for value gap or ERL be engaged. And none of the conditions are met here. So you take, yep. Yeah, building the buy side, and what is the buy side, and what is the buy side going to do? It's going to take out all this engineered liquidity, right? This is honestly a beautiful day of the market making the sell side of the curve, right? And you can say, right, we're in a possible 4 hour, like let's see if we can find something. Do we have any weekly for value gaps here? I think on ES we might have a weekly for value gap to retrace back into, and I'll show you right now. Let's see. So we have the daily gap. So this, what is this? Is this a swing, weekly swing low? So we might want to see previous weekly low, right? Because, you know, we swept previous weekly high, and we might want to see previous weekly low. And what is this? This is a daily ERL, right? Now, if the market is bullish, it'll respect this for value gap, but based off this strong candle body closure after sweeping this ERL, we might want to inverse this and actually target this, right? And of course, you know, like using logic and just using our brains, we can think of, okay, the market fundamentally, tariff news is dropping tomorrow about Canada, right? Trump is talking a lot. There's a lot of news, so there might be a strong chance that we actually dump. And if we actually apply the weekly profile as well, this might be a consolidation reversal. We pretty much just consolidated, right? And Thursday might have a reversal, or might just have a continuation, or honestly, Wednesday might have that, you know, might be the high of the week, or that accumulation, right? That manipulation and the distribution, right? Because we get a change in the state delivery and all that. So with the weekly profile, we might actually dump lower. And if we keep that in mind, we can set this as our hard time from drawing liquidity, right? And if this is our hard time from drawing liquidity, so let's say our daily ERL is our hard time from drawing liquidity, we're going to the 1 hour chart to look for the market maker model. And how does this look like on the, just see this real quick. How does this look like on the hourly chart? You can clearly see, right? We're in the sell side of the curve right now, or yeah, the sell side of the curve. Because look, original consolidation, right? Expansion, original consolidation, expansion, right? Now, we don't know when it's going to reverse because we're at all-time highs, but you know, we had this sweep of liquidity, we had this change in the state delivery, right? There's no SMT up here, unfortunately, but we get a large dump, right? We get a large dump, and we're not respecting, you know, this daily fair value gap that we're in. So we can kind of make the assumption that this is going to be the thing that we actually target, right? So what is going to be my bias for the next, or for tomorrow, is going to be sells, right? And I'm going to take sells until this daily ERL has actually been met, right? And this is the same thing here on ES or NASDAQ. And yeah, so we swept out this internal liquidity, so we might have a short-term retracement, right? Possibly back into this 4 hour for value gap, because you know we go from ERL to IRL, right? But because we've not met this higher time frame drawn liquidity, we can't reverse yet. You get what I'm saying? So what are we going to do? We're going to tap into here and then continue lower, in my opinion, right? And that's what makes sense. So like you were saying, intraday, so you see how like market maker models are all connected? Like if a daily market maker model can be going on, and then you go to the 4 hour chart, a 4 hour market maker model might be going on, and then you go to the 1 hour chart, or a 1 hour chart, or honestly not the 4 hour, but in this case we're in a 1 hour market maker model, right? But if we're trading intraday, like if we're taking a trade at 10 a.m., what do we want to wait for? We want to wait for that power of 3, right? That accumulation, manipulation, distribution into that 15-minute fair value gap, or higher time frame fair value gap, right? And what does that mean? Now that just means we're trading a lower time frame market maker model. And how is that? I can show you, right? Let's go back here. So if we're trading the second stage of distribution here, we can understand that, okay, on the higher time frame, we're bearish. So are we going to look to trade longs here? No. We're going to look for a retracement into a 15-minute fair value gap because our PO3 model says so, right? And we do get that retracement. Now, do we have an SMT inside of that fair value gap? Yes, we do, right? Like I mentioned, we do have that SMT. Let me just go back here. Sorry. We have that SMT. You can clearly see, right? And so all this is going to be, right, is a lower time frame market maker model, because because we tap into a higher time frame point of interest, right? So we can start reversing here because this small leg has met a higher time frame point of interest, which is what? A 15-minute for value gap, right? Because we know you can only reverse after meeting a higher time frame point of interest. So if you're on the 1 minute chart and you tap into a 15-minute, 15-minute for value gap, that's a higher time frame point of interest, right? So off of that, we have our SMT, we have our change in the state delivery, and this would be the model right here, right? And as you can clearly see, it works out, just the model playing out. Now, me personally, I probably would not take it off that. I'd probably just wait for like a candle body closure, below here, which you can clearly get. You take this, keep your stop over here at that SMT protected high, or, you can wait for more confirmation, right? You can wait for more confirmation by getting a 15-minute change in the state delivery and then doing something like this, right? And then trading this full expansion. Because when we trade this 15-minute market maker model, we're going to be trading IRL to ERL. So if we take it like this, right, and we keep our stop at this high, what are we just going to target? We're going to target the ERL, the 15-minute ERL, because this is going to be the completion of that market maker model. So right here is the where did that tool go? So right here is the buy side of the curve, right? And then we're going to be looking to complete it, right? So on the lower time frame, this is the original consolidation. Then here, let me actually make it clearer. Actually, I'll move this like this. So I just want to show you what this represents. And then we met our higher time frame drawn liquidity after one expansion, right? So, and then we get our change in the state delivery. So what does that do? Change in the state delivery above last year's a down close candle. Then we make that second push here. Ideally, we create internal SMT. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, right? But sometimes we should see internal SMT. And then how would the market maker model be completed? On the lower time frame, first stage of expansion, then something like this, then like this, then like this, and then finally like this. And this is how it exactly plays out. We get this retracement here, expansion, retracement, and then expansion. You get what I'm saying? Yep. Yeah, so every time it shows to the PO3, right? So that Guido in our Discord? What's his name? The guy who trades the accumulate Guido.s. You see his like trades where Guido, sorry. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name. But yeah, my bad. But he trades like you see he's not like sometimes he takes trades before, right? But pretty much what he's doing is trading market maker models anytime he gets the condition. So even if now the most hard time for the highest probabilities are when the 10 a.m. candle opens up, then we tap into the 15-minute for value gap, and then we continue lower. Because what am I doing? I'm literally, so my PO3 model, right, it combines everything, right? It combines literally everything. And how does it combine everything? It combines everything by combining the daily power of 3, right? So the original consolidation, and then the distribution, right? So this is the 6 a.m. candle, 4-hour candle. And then what does it do? The second stage of distribution is going to be the 10 a.m. candle. So I'm combining ERL to IRL concepts first, right? So going from internal to external. I'm combining the daily power of 3. I'm combining the 10 a.m. power of 3. And I'm combining market maker models. How? By trading that 15-minute. So you can use market maker models on a 15-minute for value gap. You can use it on a 1 hour for value gap. You can use it on a 4-hour for value gap. And it can be any 4-hour for value gap. It can be any 1 hour for value gap. It can be any 15-minute for value gap, right? it can be at any time, right? It can be at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. if the conditions are met, right? Then you can take it at any time, right? But why the 10 a.m. power of 3 is literally so perfect, because it, and why it has the best win rate, because it combines all the most confluences. You get what I mean? So all the confluences are meshed up perfectly. So so yeah, honestly, like, that's pretty much like the understanding behind it, right? Like, this is what I love about trading, and this is what I mentioned to you, right? It all connects, right? And how does it all connect? Like, I can't stress this enough. It all connects. So we start off weekly profiles. We use that. I need daily profiles, which are just the daily power of threes, right? So the daily of power of three, connects, and then we have the market maker models on the higher time frame, right? So on the higher time frame, this is just a retracement leg, right? And on the lower time frame, this is just its market maker model in itself, right? It's just a market maker model in itself, right? And then this is also combining the 10 a.m. power of 3. And you see how this happens at 10 a.m., right? And that's not like luck or anything. That's not luck. That's because the market is programmed for that 10 a.m. candle to have that accumulation, manipulation, distribution, because it's the second stage of distribution. So that's this one. Okay, let's see this real quick. So we swept out previous day low, right? Yeah. Yeah, and it worked, right? Like, decently, right? Okay, so that's great. Honestly, that's a beautiful example, because yeah, the 10 a.m. power of 3 did work, right? Accumulation, manipulation, and this is fractal in itself, right? Because well, look, what do? We met a internal range of liquidity, right? This is a significant liquidity inside the higher time frame, market maker model here on the hourly chart, right? So once we meet like a significant liquidity or an internal liquidity, you can expect a retracement, right? And we can, yeah, to the IRL, and this makes sense, right? Because look, and this happened at 2 p.m., right? You can see the market chopped up a little bit and accumulated because it wanted to do it at 2 p.m. And why is this? So it can make that power of 3. And this is how it all connects. This is how it all connects. And this is how I stress it to so. And like, your mind is probably like, when I learned this, my mind was blown. And I wish, like, because look, the market waited, right? Because of the market maker model, right? So if this is our internal range of liquidity on the higher time frame market maker model, we're going to accumulate, then manipulate, right? And this candle doesn't have barely a top wick, right? So barely a top wick. If this is the opening, barely has a top wick. Now, accumulation, manipulation into this internal range of liquidity, we can scalp it, right? We can literally scalp it so perfectly, right? Maybe you took this inversion, maybe you waited for the change in the state of delivery, doesn't matter, worked out perfectly because we swept out this internal range of liquidity or this external range of liquidity. And what do we go? We go from ERL to IRL, right? And on the market, oh yeah, unfilled 15-minute for value gap. Now, let's see if we have an SMT here. Maybe we don't, maybe we do. But that's the thing. You got to be careful when trading a retracement scalp like this, right? Because on the higher time frame, and this is why we use our daily bias. Because on the higher time frame, we're still bearish, right? We're still bearish because we haven't met the higher time frame drawn liquidity. So you can't say, price is gonna sweep this out and then have a reversal to here. It can't, right? It literally can't. Yeah, because of the reversal conditions, because the higher time frame drawn liquidity is not met and the reversal condition, exactly, right? And so that's why we got to keep in mind the higher time frame market maker model, right? So when you're trading this retracement, it's going to be a small scalp. It's not going to be, you know, you're trading 100 points, 200 points, all that, right? And this is why you do it on the lower time frame. You take a scalp, and then you know, this is a high probability setup, right? But you have to be careful because on the higher time frame it's still bearish. So you're trading counter trend. Now, when you're trading counter trend, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, so this is a propulsion block. Yeah, propulsion block. So this is a propulsion block, right? And this could technically be used as an internal range of liquidity. Now, I don't really like to use that as an internal range of liquidity, but regardless, you can see that we have a, you know, point of interest, right? A PD array, because this is still a PD array that we reject off of, right? So this was just a short-term retracement, right? IRL to ERL, right, into a PD array. So this is our PD array here. And so we swept this out, accumulation, manipulation, and distribution, and this would be a beautiful setup on the 2 p.m. candle because it makes sense, right? Even though the market dumped after this and the 4-hour candle, actually, or the 2 p.m. candle actually closed lower, right? This is still an A plus setup. Why? Because you're actually understanding the higher time frame market maker model, and you're understanding that, okay, I'm trading a retracement of that higher time frame market maker model. You got what I mean? So it all connects, and there's a reason why, you know, this happened at this time. So let's see. So original consolidation, right? Let's mark this out. So original consolidation here. Let me actually just make this one screen. Original consolidation, first stage of distribution, second stage of accumulation, second stage of distribution. Now, have we met it? No. So we're gonna keep going. So third stage of accumulation or slash retracement, and then third stage of distribution. Have we met the higher time frame drawn liquidity? No. Right? So another accumulation, another distribution, right? And we met this internal range of liquidity, or we met this internal liquidity on the higher time frame market maker model, right? Because look, if we look at the hourly chart, this is, you know, this is a higher time frame drawn liquidity, right? Same with these, right? But it's just a point of, like, you know, a small retracement, because we do have to, you know, sweep ERL to go to IRL, and then from IRL to ERL. So you get what I mean? It just engineered liquidity for us to come back and take later. So like, why do we have these retracements? It's to engineer more liquidity. So you have this, and then this engineered liquidity, this was engineered liquidity, this was engineered liquidity, and this was engineered liquidity. Now, it is very risky, you know, trading something like this, because on the higher time frame, and that's why I like to trade, you know, the distribution rather than the manipulation, right? That's why we trade the distribution, because, you know, you never fully know when the manipulation, going to end, right? So that's why it's riskier. Yeah. Yeah, way shorter, right? So based off that, it all connects perfectly. This is engineered liquidity, but you can still take advantage of that by taking a small scalp, 1 minute change in the day delivery, if there's an SMT there, and then, you know, reversal, a small short-term reversal condition on the lower time frame. So this would be a 1 minute market maker model, right? Ideally, we would come up to here, then take that, but we tap into this propulsion block and we reject off here. But, you know, original consolidation, expansion, second stage accumulation, and then expansion, right? And then reversal condition, change in the state delivery, take your entry off here, and then, you know, target, you know, the PD array, or, you know, a static 1 to 1, 1 to 2R, right? So, and then this is an A plus power of 3 setup, because, you know, we took out that previous day low, that internal range of liquidity, or that ERL, sorry, at 2 p.m. So accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So honestly, it connects perfectly. Like, you can see everything connects: ERL to IRL, phase of market delivery, reversal conditions, market maker models, power of 3s, weekly profile. And that's why, you know, I love to teach like in this way, because we're applying logic. We're not, like, think about it. Have I taught you anything like, oh, use this model? I'm not teaching you models, right? I'm not teaching you a model. I'm just teaching you how to look at the chart and actually think, right? I'm teaching you narrative, and I'm teaching you if then statements, right? So how would we apply an if then statement? So my if then statement here, right, for today was, let's say we were bullish, right? We were bullish on the day, and we tap into this 4-hour fair value gap. Now my if then statement would be, okay, if we get like a confirmation of a reversal, right, so a change in the state delivery, then we would be bullish and we'd continue higher, right? Now if we reject off this 15-minute fair value gap, right, and then continue lower, then I'd be bearish, and that's my if then statement. So if I got a change in the state delivery here, I take a long, right? Let's say we got a change in the state delivery here, I take a long, right? An appropriate long, whatever. But now we put in the if then statement. If that doesn't happen and we get a candle body closure here instead, I'd keep my stop here and I'd take this trade, right? And so that's how we apply our logic and narrative, right? And because we have that plan, right, because we can analyze the charts and do that, then we can be prepared for any scenario the market actually wants to go in, right? Because we're reacting to the markets, not really, predicting it. You know what I mean? But the most important thing, right, is narrative, having that plan A, plan B. That's where real trading is. And now once you have that plan A, plan B, you work on your psychology, and boom, you're going to be making $1 million a year, more than $1 million a year in 3 to 5 years easily, right? Because you have all the fundamentals down. Now you understand what trading really is, right? And now you understand how to actually become profitable, because listen, like I just said, logically, everybody cannot be a trader, and the data backs it up, right? If it was that easy, the whole world would become traders, nothing would go wrong, but it's not that easy. It takes a really specific type of person to understand that it cannot be that easy, and to accept that it won't be that easy, right? And then you understand that, okay, it's going to be hard, but I'm going to apply the right logic and tools, right, that I've learned, right? So this framework that I just taught you is a very narrative and logic based. Like, you have to think about it, right? You're not going to be like, okay, this happens and this. Like, when you step on the charts and you try to practice this, you're going to have to think about it, right? And that's what trading is. If it was that easy, everybody would do it. But now we're applying a sort of logic, and we're applying that plan A, plan B, right? So now we're reacting to the markets rather than predicting. And that's the number one change I try to help people make.